I was 35 years old, sitting in my Manhattan apartment, scrolling through old photos on my phone when I saw it. A picture of me at 17, wearing my high school uniform, standing next to a boy with messy brown hair and the kind of smile that made you forget your own name. Ethan Cole. I hadn't thought about him in years, not really. But the photo brought it all back. The year I spent convinced he didn't know I existed. The year he spent convinced I was in love with someone else. And the 48 hours I spent as a 12-inch tall cotton doll in his bedroom. It started on a completely normal Tuesday. I was walking home from my advanced physics class, the same route I'd taken 100 times. The sun was bright, too bright, and I remember squinting against it. Then there was a flashlight. Someone had aimed a mirror straight at my eyes and the world went white. When I opened my eyes again, everything was enormous. The sidewalk stretched out in front of me like a highway. The cracks in the concrete were canyons. The grass beside me was a forest. I looked down at my hands, my tiny, stuffed, fabric hands, and realized I'd been turned into a doll. A very small, very cute, very doomed doll. I was wearing the same clothes I'd had on my school uniform, scaled down to fit my new body. That was something, at least. I wasn't naked. Small mercies. I tried to walk, but my legs were essentially two little tubes of cotton with no joints. I could wobble. I could flop. I could not, in any meaningful sense, 星号木星号. So I stood there, in the middle of the sidewalk, praying no one would step on me, when a pair of sneakers appeared in front of me. I looked up. Ethan Cole was staring down at me, his face a giant moon of confusion and delight. He was wearing his usual uniform rumpled shirt, crooked tie, that expression that made him look like he just discovered something wonderful and had no idea what to do with it. Whoa, he said, reaching down. Whose doll are you? He picked me up by the waist carefully, like I was made of glass, and held me at eye level. His face was so close I could see the tiny freckles on his nose and the faint shadow of a pimple on his left cheekbone. I wanted to yell. I wanted to scream, "It's me, you idiot, it's Lily." But all that came out was a muffled, fabric-white silence. He turned me over, examining me like I was a rare artifact. "You look exactly like Lily," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "My Lily, well, not my Lily, she's not mine. She's never going to be mine, but you look like her. Same hair, same eyes, same." He stopped, his cheeks flushing. Same everything. I felt my own face heat up, even though I was stuffed with cotton and couldn't actually blush. "If no one claims you," he announced, looking around at the empty street, "then I'm keeping you. Finders keepers. That's the rule." He tucked me under his arm like a football and started walking. And that's how I ended up in Ethan Cole's bedroom. His room was exactly what I'd imagined, cluttered but not dirty. Posters on the walls, textbooks stacked in precarious towers on his desk. He sat me down on his nightstand, propping me up so I could see the room. "There," he said, stepping back to admire his work. "You look good there. Like you belong." He flopped onto his bed and stared at me, a dopey smile on his face. "You know," he said, "I've been in love with Lily since freshman year. That's 2 years. 2 years of watching her walk past my locker. 2 years of pretending I don't notice when she laughs. 2 years of he covered his face with his hands. This is so pathetic. I'm talking to a doll." I wanted to scream. "星号, I'm right here. Ethan, I'm right here. 星号." But I just sat there, mute and motionless, listening to him pour his heart out. "She likes the class president," he continued, rolling onto his side. "Jake, they're always together. He's taller than me, smarter than me, better at sports. Why would she ever notice someone like me?" He reached over and poked my arm. "You're lucky," he said. "You don't have feelings. You don't have to deal with this." If I could have laughed, I would have. Because I had feelings. I had so many feelings. And every single one of them was for the idiot who was currently talking to a doll like it was his therapist. The first night was the worst. Ethan put me on his desk while he did his homework. He muttered equations under his breath, occasionally glancing up at me like he was checking I was still there. "You're very good company," he said. "You don't interrupt. You don't judge. You just sit there, being cute." He finished his work, stretched, and picked me up again. "Time for bed," he announced. "I need to get up early. I heard Lily comes to school before first period on Thursdays. I want to be there when she walks in." He placed me on his pillow, right next to where his head would go. I panicked. "星号, no,星号." But he just smiled, got under the covers, and fell asleep almost instantly. His breathing evened out, his face relaxed, and I was left staring at the ceiling, trapped in cotton, lying next to the boy I'd been crushing on for 2 years. He looked peaceful, innocent, nothing like the awkward, stammering mess he was during the day. I wished I could touch his face. I wished I could tell him everything. But all I could do was sit there, motionless, and wait. The second day, he took me to school. He stuffed me in his backpack, carefully positioned so I wouldn't get crushed, and walked to class. I could hear the sounds of the hallway through the fabric lockers slamming, laughter, teachers calling out reminders. When he finally pulled me out, we were in the back of the classroom, hidden behind a stack of textbooks. Okay, he whispered to me. She's going to walk through that door any minute. Watch. I couldn't turn my head, but I could see the doorway from my angle. And sure enough, a few minutes later, I saw myself, the normal-sized version, walk into the room. My other self looked tired. She'd been staying up late studying for the physics competition. She didn't look like someone who was being watched by a boy who'd fallen in love with her. Ethan's breath caught. There she is, he breathed. God, she's so beautiful. I felt a strange pang. Was this what it was like to see herself through someone else's eyes? The way his voice softened, the way his eyes followed her, it was both thrilling and unbearable. She sat down, 2 rows away, and started unpacking her books. She didn't look back. She didn't notice him watching. But I did, and I wished I could tell myself to pay attention. The next few days were a blur of similar moments. Ethan would take me everywhere, to class, to lunch, to the library. He talked to me constantly, filling the silence with his thoughts and fears and hopes. I'm going to ask her out, he announced one afternoon. Senior year. That's my deadline. If I don't do it by graduation, I'm going to regret it forever. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. Unless she'd rather date someone else, in which case I'll just, I don't know, disappear. Join the circus. I wanted to shake him. Xinghao, I would say yes, you idiot. I would say yes today, Xinghao. But I just sat there, silent and still, as he planned his future around someone who already loved him back. The turning point came on day 4. Ethan was walking home, me tucked under his arm, when he stopped at a crosswalk. There was a group of kids ahead, laughing and pointing at something. He ignored them, waiting for the light to change. But then I heard a familiar voice. Hey, Ethan! I couldn't turn to see who it was, but I knew the voice. It was Jake, the class president, the supposed rival. Ethan stiffened. Oh, he said flatly. Hey, Jake! Jake jogged over, his smile easy and confident. That's a cool doll. Where'd you get it? I found it. Ethan's grip on me tightened. It's mine now. Jake leaned in, squinting at me. It looks like Lily. Did you commission this or something? No. Ethan's voice cracked. It was just I found it, okay? Leave me alone. He pushed past Jake and kept walking, his steps hurried and angry. I thought we were friends, Jake called after him. Ethan didn't answer. That night, he sat on his bed, staring at me. He thinks he knows everything, he muttered. He's friends with her. He gets to talk to her every day. And he laughed bitterly. I just talked to you. He picked me up, holding me in front of his face. You're the only one who listens, he said. You're the only one who doesn't judge. He pressed his lips to the top of my head, a quick, soft kiss that sent a shockwave through my stuffed body. I love her, he whispered. I love her so much it hurts. And I, the doll who couldn't speak, fell a little more in love with him too. The next morning, I woke up. Not as a doll as myself. My normal, human, 18-year-old self. I was lying in my own bed, wearing my own pajamas, with no memory of how I'd gotten there. I checked my phone. It was Thursday. I'd been gone for 6 days. I sat up, dizzy and disoriented, and tried to piece together what had happened. Had it been real? Had I actually spent 6 days as a doll in Ethan Cole's bedroom? I looked at my hands. Normal. Human. No cotton inside. And then I remembered something. The kiss. The confession. The look on his face when he said he loved me. I had to see him. I had to know if it was real. I found him at school, leaning against the lockers, looking exhausted. Ethan, I said. He looked up, his eyes widening. Lily, hi, he stammered, his face flashing. What's up? I need to ask you something. I stepped closer. Did you find a doll last week? A doll that looked like me? His face went pale. How did you? So it was real. I laughed, the sound bubbling out of me. It was real. You found me. You took me home. You talked to me. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. What are you talking about? I was the doll, Ethan. I grabbed his hands. I don't know how to explain it, but I was the doll. And I heard everything. The way you talk about me, the way you... He pulled away. This is a joke, right? Jake put you up to this. No. I stepped forward. This isn't a joke. I'm telling you the truth. I was there. I saw your room. I heard you talk about physics. I saw you kiss my head. His eyes widened. That's impossible. I never told anyone about that. You didn't need to. I was there. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, a grin spread across his face. You're insane, he said. You're completely insane. Probably. I grinned back. But I'm also the girl you've been in love with for 2 years. So maybe that counts for something. He pulled me into a hug, so tight I could barely breathe. It counts, he said. It counts for everything. That was 17 years ago. Now, at 35, I'm sitting in my apartment, looking at that old photo, and I can't help but smile. He's in the next room, working on his latest painting, his hair a little grayer, his smile a little wiser. We're married now. We have a house, a cat, and a shared history that nobody else would believe. I'm still not sure why I turned into a doll that week, or why I turned back. But I know one thing for certain. Sometimes, the strangest things happen for the best reasons. And sometimes, you just need to listen to the doll. The morning after I turned back, I walked into school feeling like everyone could see right through me. I'd spent the entire night lying awake, replaying everything, the way Ethan had held me, the way he whispered his secrets to a doll he thought couldn't hear, the way he kissed the top of my head like I was something precious. And now I had to look him in the face and pretend none of it had happened. Except I couldn't pretend, because I knew everything now. I knew about the 2 years of silent longing. I knew about the notebook filled with my name. I knew about the drawings hidden under his desk, mad drawings of me, drawings he thought no one would ever see. I walked through the front doors and immediately spotted him. He was at his locker, rummaging through it with that same messy energy he always had. His hair was sticking up in the back. His tie was crooked. And when he saw me, he froze. Lily. His voice cracked. Hey, morning. Morning. I kept walking, but I couldn't stop myself from glancing back. He was staring at me. Not in the subtle, sneak peek way he used to. He was staring like I was a ghost who'd suddenly materialized in front of him. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to grab him by the shoulders and say, Xinghao, I know everything, you idiot. I was there. I heard all of it, Xinghao. But I didn't, because I still didn't understand the rules of what had happened. Was he supposed to know? Would he even believe me if I told him? So I did the only thing I could think of. I pretended everything was normal. The first class was physics. I sat in my usual seat, 2 rows ahead of Ethan, and tried to focus on the equations Mr. Thompson was writing on the board. But I couldn't stop thinking about the way Ethan had looked at me that morning, like I was a puzzle he was desperate to solve. At one point, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned. A folded piece of paper was being passed to me, surreptitiously, from the row behind. I unfolded it under my desk. Xinghao, are you okay? You look tired. Yi Xinghao. I smiled despite myself. I scribbled back, Xinghao, I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well. You, Xinghao. The paper disappeared behind me. A few seconds later, it returned. Xinghao, same. Weird dreams. Also, I might have dropped my doll. Xinghao. I stared at the words. He was testing me. He didn't know for sure, but he suspected. Xinghao, your doll. Xinghao, I wrote back. Xinghao, yeah. It looked just like you. I was really attached to it. Then it vanished. Xinghao. I bit my lip. How much should I say? Xinghao, maybe it went back where it came from. Xinghao. I passed the note back and waited. When it returned, there was only one word. Xinghao, maybe. Xinghao. At lunch, I found him sitting alone in the corner of the cafeteria, picking at his food. I'd never noticed before how often he ate alone. I'd never noticed a lot of things. I walked over and sat down across from him. He looked up, his eyes widening. Lily. Hi. You're sitting here. Looks like it. I set down my tray. Is that okay? Yeah. He cleared his throat. Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine. Great, actually. He was trying so hard to be casual and failing so spectacularly that I almost laughed. So, I said, taking a bite of my sandwich, what do you do for fun? Besides finding dolls and talking to them. He choked on his drink. I'm sorry. He sputtered. Just asking. I smiled sweetly. Seems like a hobby. He stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, a grin spread across his face. You're messing with me, he said. Maybe a little. He laughed a real laugh, warm and surprised. I didn't know you had this side. There's a lot you don't know about me, I said. You might want to find out. His expression shifted, the playfulness giving way to something softer. I like that, he said. I really like that. The next week was a blur of stolen glances and accidental touches. I started sitting with him at lunch every day. He stopped stammering around me mostly. I caught him staring at me during class and pretended not to notice. He caught me staring at him and did the same. We were both pretending, both dancing around the truth. But I knew what he was hiding. I knew about the drawings. I found out by accident. I'd been assigned a group project with him. The universe, apparently, had a sense of humor. We were working in the library, hunched over a laptop, when he reached into his bag and pulled out a folder. A pile of papers spilled out. Among them, a sketch. It was me, sitting in class, head tilted, looking at something off to the side. The detail was incredible. Every strand of hair, every fold of my uniform. He captured the way I held my pen, the way I bit my lip when I was thinking. I stared at it. Ethan, I said slowly, what is this? He froze. His face went pale. Nothing. It's nothing. Just a drawing. I was practicing. Practicing? Yeah, I draw sometimes. It's not a big deal. I pick up the sketch, studying it. This is me. Yeah. I mean, it's just a study. I draw lots of people. Really? I looked at him. Show me. What? Show me your other drawings. If you draw lots of people, you must have a portfolio, right? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. He ran a hand through his hair. Okay, fine. You caught me. I draw you. It's the only thing I draw. There's a whole notebook under my desk mat. I've been doing it for 2 years. I knew. I already knew. But hearing him say it, hearing the words come out of his mouth was something else entirely. Why? I asked softly. Why me? Because you're you. He looked at me, his eyes vulnerable. Because you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Because I can't stop thinking about you. Because I've been in love with you since freshman year, and I didn't know how to say it, so I drew it instead. I set down the drawing. My hands were shaking. Ethan, I said, I have something to tell you. What? Remember when you said the doll disappeared? Lily. I didn't disappear. I turned back. He stared at me. What? The doll, it was me. I don't know how to explain it, but it was me. I was there. I heard everything you said. The night you talked about your physics homework. The night you said you joined the circus if I didn't want you. The night I swallowed. The night you kissed my head. He was frozen, his face unreadable. You're joking, he said finally. This is some kind of prank. I'm not joking. I grabbed his hands. I know it sounds insane. I don't understand how it happened. But I was there, Ethan. I was the doll. And I heard you. I know you love me. And I love you too. He pulled his hands away. This is too much, he said, standing up. I need a minute. He walked out of the library, leaving me sitting there. I found him in the courtyard, sitting on the bench where we first met. He looked small and vulnerable and absolutely terrified. Ethan, I said, sitting down beside him. Talk to me. I don't know what to say, he admitted. I've been in love with you for 2 years. I've imagined 1,000 ways this could go. But never he left. Hello. Never like this. Because I was a doll. Because you were a doll, and I told you everything, and now you know all of it. He turned to face me. I'm not just in love with you. I'm terrified of you. Because you could destroy me. I reached for his hand. I don't want to destroy you. I want to be with you. Why? Because you're kind and funny, and you draw me like I'm the only person in the world. Because you talk to dolls and get attached to them. Because you're the most ridiculous, wonderful person I've ever met. And I've been in love with you since the moment you picked me up off that sidewalk. He looked at me, his eyes shining. You're not joking, he said. I'm not joking. Then he swallowed. Then can I kiss you? I smiled. I was starting to wonder if you ever asked. He leaned in. His lips brushed mine, gentle and tentative, like he was still afraid I'd disappear. I kissed him back, and for a moment, everything else melted away. We were late to class that day. Neither of us cared. The next few weeks were the happiest of my life. We were together now officially. He'd walk me to class, hold my hand in the hallways, leave little notes in my locker. He still drew me, but now he showed me the sketches, let me watch while he worked. You're better at this than you realize, I told him one afternoon, watching him work. Not better than anything you could do, he said. Maybe, but I can't draw you, so we're even. He smiled, that soft, vulnerable smile that I'd fallen in love with all those months ago. I love you, he said. I should have said it sooner. You're saying it now. Every day, he promised. From now on, every single day. I leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is. But it was ours. And that was enough. Being in a relationship with Ethan Cole was like learning a new language. He'd been quietly in love with me for 2 years, but that didn't mean he knew how to 星号 be 星号 with me. The first few weeks were a series of adorable disasters. He tried to hold my hand and end up grabbing my wrist. He'd attempt to compliment me and accidentally compare me to a particularly nice sunset. He'd overthink every text message until I'd just call him instead. You're impossible, I told him one afternoon, watching him agonize over a 2-word reply. I'm trying to be charming. You're trying too hard. Just be yourself. Yourself is the one who's been in love with a doll. He muttered, hitting sand. I laughed. It was the only way to survive the sheer absurdity of our origin story. The thing I hadn't told him, the thing I was still trying to figure out was how much of the doll thing was real. I turned back, obviously. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted inside me. I remembered everything about being that doll. The texture of his fingers holding me. The warmth of his breath when he talked to me. The exact weight of his kiss on the top of my head. It was like I'd been given a gift. The chance to see myself through his eyes. To hear the things he'd never say out loud. And now I was supposed to just move on. Pretend it was a fever dream. I couldn't. So I didn't. The first real test came when Jake showed up at our lunch table. Jake was the class president, the golden boy, the one Ethan had been convinced I was in love with. In reality, Jake and I had grown up together, and he was basically my brother. The fact that Ethan didn't know that was my fault I'd never bothered to explain. Hey, Lily, Jake said, sliding into the seat next to me. Can I borrow your physics notes? I missed class yesterday. Sure. I pulled them out of my bag. Everything okay? Yeah, just he glanced at Ethan, then back at me. I'll explain later. Ethan was staring at his lunch like it had personally offended him. Ethan, I said, this is Jake. Jake, this is Ethan. My boyfriend. Jake's eyebrows shot up. Boyfriend? Since when? Since recently. You've been busy. Jake turned to Ethan, extending a hand. Hey, man. Nice to finally meet you. Lily's talked about you. Ethan looked up, startled. She has. All the time, Jake said smoothly. You're the only one she ever talks about. Ethan's face went red. I shot Jake the look. What? Jake shrugged. It's true. You think she was getting paid to say your name? I kicked him under the table. He grinned. So, Ethan, Jake continued. I've been meaning to ask. Are you going to the art show next month? I heard your piece got selected for the regional exhibition. Ethan blinked. How did you know that? I have my sources. Jake winked. Anyway, congrats. That's a big deal. Thanks. Ethan's voice was still uncertain, but he looked less like he was about to bolt. Jake stood up, patting Ethan on the shoulder. I'll leave you two alone. See you around, Lily. And Ethan, nice to finally meet the guy who made her stop talking about you. He walked away, whistling. I turned to Ethan. You okay? He's not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone bigger. More intimidating. He frowned. He's just normal. Jake is the normalest person I know. He's also hopelessly in love with someone else, so you have nothing to worry about. Ethan looked at me. Who? His name is Cole. We call him Petal because he has these ridiculously pretty eyes. They've been dancing around each other for years. Ethan stared. Wait, Jake likes a guy named Petal. Don't make it weird. I'm not making it weird. He laughed. I'm just realizing that I spent 2 years being jealous of someone who was never actually a friend. 2 years wasted. Not wasted. He reached for my hand. It got me here. To you. I squeezed his fingers. That's the corniest thing you ever said. Learn from the best. The announcement came the next day. Mr. Anderson, our homeroom teacher, stood at the front of the room, holding a stack of papers. As you know, final exams are coming up, but I also have some news about next semester. He paused, building suspense. Starting in the fall, we're implementing a new seating policy. The top 10 students in the class will get to choose their own seats and their own lab partners. The idea is that our strongest students can help elevate others. The room erupted. People were whispering, calculating, plotting. Ethan's eyes met mine from across the room. Top 10, he mauled. Top 10, I mauled back. That night, we sat in his room, surrounded by textbooks and study guides. So, he said, top 10, that's the goal. Top 10, I agreed. But I should warn you, I'm aiming for first. Of course you are. He grinned. That's why I love you. The words came out casually, like they were nothing. But he froze the moment they left his mouth. I mean. Ethan. I leaned over and kissed him. I love you too. He relaxed, pulling me into a hug. I'm never going to get used to that. You better. Because I'm going to say it a lot. We studied every night that week. He was smart, but he lacked confidence. He'd second-guess his answers, erase his work, start over from scratch. I had to learn to push him without frustrating him. Stop overthinking, I'd say. You know this. Just trust yourself. I don't trust myself. Then trust me. I've seen you solve harder problems. He'd look at me, as uncertain, and then he'd try again. And usually, he'd get it right. You're a good teacher, he admitted one night. I'm a patient girlfriend. Same thing. The exams came fast. I breezed through physics and chemistry, but I kept checking on Ethan, watching him from across the room, noting the tension in his shoulders. He caught me looking once and smiled. I smiled back. We didn't meet words. The results came out on a Friday. I found my name at the top of the list. No surprise there, but I scrolled down, heart pounding, until I saw his name. Ethan Cole, number 11. Right outside the top 10. Exactly where I've been hoping he'd land. I found him in the hallway, looking equal parts thrilled and disappointed. 11, he said. I came in 11. That's amazing. 10 was the goal. 11 is the perfect number, I said. Do you know why? He shook his head. Because now I can choose you as my lab partner without it being suspicious. The rule is top 10 students can choose a partner from outside the top 10. And since I'm number 1, I can pick exactly who I want. His face lit up. You do that. I'd do anything to sit next to you. I leaned in. Get ready, Ethan. Next semester, you're stuck with me. I've never been happier to be stuck with someone. The physics competition was scheduled for the first day after finals. I'd been selected months ago, but I'd almost forgotten about it in the whirlwind of exams and new relationships. When the reminder email popped up, I groaned. 2 days, I said, reading it. They want us there for 2 days. 2 days. Ethan was sitting next to me, scrolling through his phone. That's not so bad. 2 days away from you. That's an eternity. He laughed. You'll survive. And when you get back, I'll have a surprise for you. A surprise? It's a secret. You'll find out when you get back. I narrowed my eyes. I don't like secrets. You like this one. I left for the competition on a Wednesday. It was a 4-hour bus ride to the university, and I spent most of it staring out the window, thinking about Ethan. I texted him before the bus left, and he responded with a string of heart emojis and a promise to study hard while you're gone. I missed him already. The competition was brutal. 4 rounds of physics problems that were designed to break even the best minds. I held my own, but by the end of the first day, I was exhausted. I called Ethan that night, sitting in my hotel room. How's the competition? He asked. Hard. I think my brain is melting. Don't let it melt. I need you intact for the surprise. The surprise that you won't tell me about. You'll find out soon enough. I said, fine, keep your secrets. I won. Not a humble victory, a decisive one, first place, by a comfortable margin. I accepted the trophy and the scholarship offer and the congratulations with a smile, but all I could think about was getting back to him. The bus ride home was interminable. I stared out the window, watching the miles tick by, my fingers itching to text him. Xinghao, I'm coming home. Xinghao, I typed. Xinghao, I won. Xinghao. His response came immediately. Xinghao, I knew you would. See you soon. Xinghao. He was waiting at the station. I stepped off the bus, still carrying my duffel bag, and there he was, holding a single white rose. I froze. You stole my moo, I said. Your moo? I said once that if someone gave me a white rose, I'd say yes to anything they asked. He grinned. I remember. You posted that on your story freshman year. I screenshotted it. Of course you did. Of course I did. He held out the rose. So, will you be my girlfriend? Already am. Then consider this a renewal. I took the rose and kissed him. It was messy and public and absolutely perfect. I won't be gone again, I said against his lips. Good, because I have a whole summer planned. The surprise, it turned out, was an art show. He'd been selected for the regional exhibition, his painting of a girl in a field of sunflowers. And of course, the girl in the painting looked like me. Don't you ever get tired of drawing my face? I asked. Never. You're impossible. You love me anyway. Yes, I said. I really do. The first semester of senior year was everything I'd ever wanted. Ethan and I sat together in every class my choice, officially, but he earned it. He studied harder than anyone I knew, pushing himself from a mid-tier student to number 11 in the class. And when the sitting chart was finalized, I made sure my name was next to his. You're stuck with me now, I told him on the first day. I've never been happier to be stuck. He was different now, more confident, less afraid. He still stammered sometimes, still overthought his texts, still got that dopey look on his face when I caught him staring, but he'd stopped hiding. He'd stopped pretending he didn't care. And I love him more every day. The art show was in October. Ethan had been working on his piece all summer, a painting of a girl in a field of sunflowers. The girl had my face, of course. It was beautiful and heartbreaking and utterly him. This is incredible, I said when I saw it. This is Ethan, this is gallery quality. It's just you, he said, shrugging like it was nothing. You're the easy part. The painting just had to keep up. Stop being humble. You're allowed to be proud. He looked at me, his eyes soft. I'm proud of you. Does that count? It counts. The show was packed. Ethan's parents came, beaming with pride. Jake showed up with Petal finally together, after years of planning. My parents came too, which was a surprise, since they were usually traveling for work. But the moment that mattered most was when Ethan's piece won the regional award. He stood at the podium, looking stunned, holding the certificate like it might disappear. I don't know what to say, he admitted into the microphone. I painted someone I love. That's all I did. Someone in the audience whistled. I felt my face go red. Ethan caught my eye from the stage and smiled. She's the reason I keep going. She's the reason I'm standing here. Everything I do is for her. After the show, we found a quiet corner away from the crowd. You're going to make me cry, I said, wiping my eyes. Good. He pulled me into a hug. I want to make you cry happy tears for the rest of your life. That's a very specific goal. It's the only goal that matters. The spring semester brought new challenges. College applications, scholarship essays, endless decisions about what came next. I'd been accepted to my top schools, but I couldn't stop thinking about what that meant for us. Wherever you go, Ethan said, when I tried to bring it up, I'll figure out a way to be there. I don't care if it's across the country or across the ocean. I'll find you. That's not realistic. That'll be unrealistic. It's worked so far. I laughed, but I was worried. I'd seen too many high school relationships fall apart the moment graduation hit. We were different, but was that enough? The acceptance letters came in April. I'd gotten into every school I'd applied to, including the one I'd been dreaming about since freshman year. It was across the country. A 4-hour flight. A world away. Ethan got his letters too. He'd been accepted to several schools, but not the one I was going to. He didn't tell me right away. I found out when I saw the letter sitting on his desk, unopened. Ethan, I said, holding it up. When did this come? Yesterday. Did you read it? No. Why not? He took the letter from me, weighing it in his hands. Because I already know what it says, and I'm not ready to deal with it. Ethan, I'm not going to get in. He set the letter down. I'm not good enough. I know that. I've always known that. That's not true. You're brilliant. I'm average, at best, and that's okay. But it means I'm not going to the same school as you, and I don't know what that means for us. We had the conversation that night. The hard one. The one about the future and whether love was strong enough to survive distance. I don't want to be the reason you hold yourself back, I said. If you're meant to go somewhere else, you should go. I don't want to go somewhere else. I want to be where you are. Ethan, I know you're going to say I'm being unrealistic. I know that. But I also know that I've been in love with you for 3 years. I've waited this long. I can wait a little longer. Wait for what? For you to come back, for us to find a way. He took my hands. I'll go wherever I get in, and I'll work my ass off to transfer, or I'll apply to grad school near you, or I'll figure it out. Because you're worth it. You're worth everything. I kissed him, hard and desperate. You're an idiot, I said against his lips. You're idiot. The same thing. Graduation came fast. I walked across the stage, diploma in hand, feeling like I was leaving behind a version of myself I'd never get back. Ethan was in the row ahead of me, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. Afterward, we found each other in the chaos. We did it, he said. We did it. What now? I thought about it, really thought about it. All the uncertainty, all the distance, all the fear. Now, I said, we see what happens. Summer was a blur of goodbyes. I packed my bags, said goodbye to my parents, and flew across the country to start my new life. Ethan stayed behind, working a summer job and preparing for his own move to a school a few hours from mine. It wasn't perfect, but it was a plan. We talked every night. Video calls, text messages, long emails that spanned pages. It wasn't the same as being together, but it was something. It was us. And in the quiet moments, when the distance felt unbearable, I remember what he'd said that night in his room. Xinghao, you're worth everything. Xinghao. We made it work. It wasn't easy. There were fights and tears and moments when I wondered if we'd made a mistake. But we kept choosing each other, every single day. And on the day I graduated college, he was in the front row, holding a single white rose. What's this for? I asked, accepting it. Renewal. I'm going to do this every time you achieve something. I'll be there, holding a rose, reminding you that I'm still here. You're the most ridiculous person I've ever met. You love me anyway. Yeah, I said. I really do. We got married 3 years later. Small ceremony, close friends, no drama. Ethan wore a suit that was slightly too big and a smile that never faded. I told you I'd find a way, he said during his boss. I didn't know how, but I knew I would. Because you're the only thing I've ever been sure about. You're still the same idiot who talked to a doll, I said. And I still love you. The crowd laughed. We kissed. And in that moment, everything felt exactly right. The doll is still in our house. Ethan keeps it in his studio, propped on a shelf where he can see it while he works. He had clothes made for it, all the outfits he bought for it years ago, when it was just a strange doll he found on the street. I catch him looking at it sometimes, a soft smile on his face. You're thinking about it, I say. Thinking about how lucky I am. That I found you. That you let me love you. You found the doll. I found you.